Today the moon is in Aquarius, and if you have been feeling something different this week, something lighter, something more open, something that is harder to name than it is to feel, this is why. The Aquarius Moon arrived today, and it brought something with it that the Sagittarius Full Moon released but could not yet fully deliver. The freedom that comes after the breaking, the open sky that follows the storm. The specific quality of energetic liberty that only becomes available after something old has been completely released. Aquarius is the sign of freedom, of liberation, of the chain that breaks and does not reform, of the old structure that collapses and the open space that remains after the collapse. And in the days following a full moon as significant as the Sagittarius Blue Moon, the Aquarius Moon carries this liberation energy into the lives of chosen ones who are ready to receive it, who have done the work of the integration period, who have protected what was forming and let what was sealing complete itself, who arrived at June 5th in the energetic state that makes the Aquarius Moon's freedom transmission receivable. If that is you, and I believe it is, then what the Aquarius Moon is doing in your energetic field today is locking something, not restricting. Locking, there is a difference. Locking means establishing, making permanent, fixing into place something that had previously been movable, and what it is locking is your new timeline. The direction that emerged from the blue moon, the clarity that arrived during the integration, the new version of you and the new foundation that the sealing completed. The Aquarius Moon takes all of that and makes it permanent today, establishes it, locks it in. And when something is locked in, you can move from it, you can build from it. You can act from it with the confidence of someone standing on ground that is not going to shift beneath them. That is what Aquarius is giving you today. Ground that is locked, a timeline that is established, a direction that is no longer tentative or waiting to be confirmed but fixed, real, yours. Now let me tell you about the 3 signs that your energy is finally free, because freedom is not always felt as lightness. Sometimes it is felt as clarity. Sometimes as a specific kind of readiness, and sometimes as the quiet but undeniable sense that something that was pressing is no longer pressing. Understanding which form your freedom is taking today helps you recognize it and receive it fully. The first sign your energy is finally free is that you can think about the future without the tight, anxious quality that characterized your relationship with the future during the waiting season. During extended seasons of holding on, the future takes on a specific quality of threat. You cannot think about it without the accompanying anxiety of what if it does not arrive? What if the thing you are believing for does not manifest? What if the waiting continues indefinitely? And that anxiety makes the future feel like a place to brace for rather than a place to move toward. It becomes something to endure rather than something to inhabit. If the Aquarius Moon's freedom has reached you today, thinking about the future feels different, not because the circumstances have all resolved, but because the relationship with the future has changed. There is space between you and what comes next that does not feel threatening, a quality of openness rather than bracing, of genuine curiosity rather than anxious watching, of being able to imagine what is coming with something that feels almost like excitement, rather than the guarded, self-protective hope of someone who has been disappointed before. That shift from bracing to open is the first sign your energy is finally free. The Aquarius Moon loosened the grip that the waiting season had on your relationship with time, and in that loosened grip, the future can breathe again. The second sign your energy is finally free is that you feel an unusual creative impulse. Aquarius is the most creatively innovative sign in the zodiac. It does not create within existing frameworks, it creates new ones. It sees what has never been done and asks why not. It accesses a level of the mind that operates above the ordinary, above the conventional, above the what has always been done, and it brings ideas from that level down into the realm of the possible. And when the Aquarius Moon activates in the field of a chosen one whose energy has been freed by the completion of the integration process, this creative impulse arrives, sometimes as a specific idea, a solution to something that had seemed unsolvable, an approach to something that had seemed locked, a vision of something that had not previously been visible, and sometimes as a general quality of creative aliveness. a sense that possibilities exist that were not available before. That the container of what you can do and create and build has expanded. If you are feeling this creative impulse today, honor it. Aquarius energy does not wait, it moves quickly. It has short windows of maximum creative charge. And the ideas that arrive today in the Aquarius Moon are arriving with the specific energy of the Blue Moon's release behind them. They are not ordinary ideas. They are the creative expressions of a newly freed energy field, and they are worth capturing, worth acting on, worth following even if they are unexpected and unconventional and different from what you would normally produce. Write them down, all of them. Before the moon moves past Aquarius, and the specific quality of this creative charge dissipates, because the ideas that arrive in the Aquarius moon carry the seed of something that can grow significantly in the days and weeks ahead. The third sign your energy is finally free is that you are no longer concerned with what other people think about your direction. This is the most specifically Aquarian of the three signs. Aquarius does not care about consensus. It does not need permission. It does not consult the prevailing opinion before deciding what is true or what is worth pursuing. It has its own knowing, its own direction, its own relationship with what is real and what is possible, and it trusts that knowing with a confidence that does not require external validation to remain stable. When the Aquarius moon's freedom reaches your energetic field, this quality surfaces. The opinions that used to feel weighty become lighter. The doubt that other people introduced into your field loses its purchase. The need to explain or justify or get buy-in before you move in the direction you know is right, that need diminishes. You simply know what you know. And the knowing is enough. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is the certainty of the ego that insists it is right in the face of legitimate challenges to its position. What the Aquarius moon produces is something different. It is the settled, quiet certainty of someone who has been through enough to distinguish between genuine guidance and the noise of other people's projections, between the voice of their own soul and the voice of other people's fears, between what is actually true and what is simply conventional. If you notice that the opinions that usually create wobble in you are producing less wobble today, that is the third sign. The Aquarius moon has freed the part of you that was still giving too much weight to what others think of your direction. And from this point forward, navigating from your own knowing rather than from consensus is going to feel increasingly natural. Now I want to tell you specifically what locking the new timeline means in practical terms, because it is a spiritual concept that has practical consequences, and the practical consequences are the part that matters for how you move through June. When the Aquarius moon locks your new timeline today, it is doing something specific to the energetic structure of your life. It is establishing the new direction as the primary trajectory, the one that the universe is now aligning its resources behind, the one that opportunities are now being arranged to support, the one that connections are now being directed toward. The new timeline is not just a possibility anymore. It is the established direction, and everything that happens in June is now happening in relation to that established direction. This means that what appears to be coincidence in June is actually alignment. The encounters that seem accidental are the universe placing specifically relevant people on your path. The opportunities that arrive unexpectedly are the universe opening specifically relevant doors in the direction of the new timeline. The resources that appear when they are needed are the universe supplying what the new timeline requires at the moment it requires it. You are not just moving through June. You are moving along an established trajectory that the universe is actively supporting, and the awareness of that changes how you interpret what happens. Not as random events but as coordinated arrivals, not as luck but as alignment, not as coincidence but as evidence of a universe that knows where you are going and is meeting you there. Now let me close with something about the void period that begins this afternoon, because it is relevant and most people who talk about Aquarius moon days do not address the void period honestly. The moon goes void in Aquarius this afternoon. And the void moon is a period that carries its own specific energy, a quality of suspension, of betweenness, of the space between what was and what comes next. And while the conventional astrological advice is to avoid making major decisions during void moon periods, what I want you to understand about this specific void is that it is not a stopping point. It is a resting point. The work of the Aquarius Moon, the locking of the new timeline, the transmission of freedom to your energetic field, the delivery of the 3 signs happens in the active phase of the Moon's transit through Aquarius, before the void, and what the void offers after that work is integration time, quiet time, the space to simply be in what was established without immediately needing to act on it. So when the void begins this afternoon, do not push. Do not force new decisions or new actions. Let what the Aquarius Moon established this morning settle. Let the locked timeline become familiar ground beneath your feet. Let the freedom that arrived integrate into how you actually feel rather than just how you understand you should feel. Rest in what was established. And tomorrow the moon will be in Pisces, and Pisces carries its own gifts for the next stage of what is unfolding. June 5th, Aquarius Moon, your new timeline is locked, your energy is free, and what comes next is moving toward you faster than it has moved before. Write in the comments which of the 3 signs resonated most with you today. I read every one. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The astrology of June is moving in favor of chosen ones. And you need to know what each day carries. Now I want to go deeper on what the Aquarius Moon specifically does to the energetic field of someone who has been through the kind of extended difficulty that the chosen ones watching this have been through. Because Aquarius is not just freedom in the abstract, it is freedom from specific things. And understanding what those specific things are helps you recognize when the freedom arrives. The first thing Aquarius frees you from is the energetic weight of other people's unmet expectations. When you have been in a long season of not arriving where others expected you to arrive, not moving as fast as they thought you should move, not producing the visible results that would satisfy their assessment of your progress, you accumulate the weight of those unmet expectations, not as guilt necessarily, but as a low-level energetic pressure, a background hum of sense that you are behind, that you are not enough, that the pace of your journey is somehow a failure rather than your journey's actual pace. The Aquarius Moon cuts through this. Not by producing the results that would satisfy the expectations, by dissolving the weight of the expectations themselves, by restoring you to the knowing that your journey has its own timing, that your pace is not a failure, that the timeline the universe has set for your life is not slower than it should be. It is precisely as fast as it needs to be. And the opinions of people who have been watching from the outside and assessing by visible results are simply not the measure of what is actually happening. When this freedom arrives, it does not feel like rebellion or rejection of the people whose expectations were weighing on you. It feels like relief, like putting down something heavy that you had been carrying so long you forgot you were carrying it. And with the weight gone, there is a lightness of movement that was not available while the weight was present. The second thing Aquarius frees you from is the constraint of your own previous self-definition, the story you have been telling about yourself, the identity that was built in the earlier seasons of your life, before the journey took you where it has taken you, before the testing season refined you into someone who does not entirely fit the old self-definition anymore. Most people, when they have outgrown their self-definition, continue to operate from the old one because it is familiar, because changing the story you tell about yourself is one of the most uncomfortable things a person can do, because the old self-definition, even when it is no longer accurate, provides the stability of the known, and the unknown version of yourself, the one that has been emerging through everything you have been through, is less settled, less confirmed by evidence, less familiar, and therefore, in its own way, frightening. The Aquarius Moon, with its orientation toward the new and the unconventional and the not yet tried, gives you permission to operate from the new self-definition, from the version of you that actually exists today rather than the version that existed before the journey took you where it has taken you. It breaks the gravitational pull of the old story and creates space for the new one to take hold. If you notice today that you are thinking of yourself differently than you did last week, that you are less willing to accept descriptions of yourself that no longer fit, that you are more comfortable with the version of you that has been emerging through the difficulty. That is Aquarius working. That is the moon cutting the last tether between you and the old self-definition. Let it go. The new one is more accurate and more interesting. And the third thing Aquarius frees you from is the compulsion to understand before you move. The need to have everything figured out before you take a step. The habit of waiting until the full picture is clear before committing to a direction. This habit, which feels like wisdom and caution, is actually one of the most effective ways that fear operates in the lives of chosen ones who are too intelligent to let fear look like fear. It shows up as reasonable delay, as prudent planning, as waiting for more information, but underneath it is the fear of being wrong, of taking a step that leads somewhere unexpected, of committing to a direction and then finding out that the direction was different from what you thought. Aquarius does not wait for certainty. Aquarius acts from the knowing that is available now, in full awareness that the knowing will expand as the action unfolds. It trusts the first step to reveal the second. It trusts the second step to reveal the third. It does not need the full map before it starts moving. It just needs to know which way is forward. And if the Aquarius Moon's freedom has reached you today, you may notice a reduced tolerance for the compulsion to understand before you move, a growing impatience with your own tendency to delay, a quality of readiness that is stronger than your comfort with waiting. That is not recklessness. That is Aquarius restoring your ability to trust the knowing that is available without requiring the knowing to be complete before you act on it. Move today, even one step, in the direction you already know is forward. Now I want to address the specific astrological context that makes June 5th particularly significant beyond just the Aquarius Moon, because the Aquarius Moon is transiting in a specific relationship to the other planetary energies of this week. And understanding that relationship helps you understand why June 5th specifically is when the timeline locks rather than another day. The full moon in Sagittarius on May 31st was the initiating event. It established the new energetic ground. June 1st through June 4th were the integration days, the period in which what was established during the full moon was absorbed and sealed and made permanent in the chosen one's energetic field. And June 5th, the day the moon moves into Aquarius, is the first day after the integration is substantially complete. The moon in Aquarius, arriving at the end of the integration period, acts as a seal, a confirmation, an announcement to the energetic field that what was established during the full moon is now established, done, locked, and that the chosen one is free to move from the new ground rather than continuing to tend it. This is why the three signs of freedom arrive today specifically, not on June 1st when the integration began, not on June 3rd when the sealing was most active. Today. Because today the moon moved into the sign that carries freedom as its primary energetic expression, and it arrived at the moment when the freedom it carries was most specifically relevant. When the integration was complete enough that the freedom could be received as freedom rather than as disruption of the still-forming process. The astrology is not random, the timing is not coincidental. June 5th is when the moon moves into Aquarius because June 5th is when the freedom needs to arrive. And you are here, watching this, on exactly the right day. That is not an accident. Write in the comments which of the three signs you felt today. I read every one. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The astrology of June continues to move in favor of chosen ones, and tomorrow carries something specific. You need to know what it is. And one final thing before you move into your day, something simple that the Aquarius Moon is specifically asking of you today. Be honest about what you want. Not what you think you should want, not what would make sense given your circumstances, not what would satisfy other people's expectations or fit neatly into the story others have constructed about your life, what you actually want, what you have known you wanted for a long time but have been careful about saying out loud because wanting it felt vulnerable, because wanting it fully meant the possibility of not getting it fully. And not getting it fully felt like too much to risk after everything the waiting season already cost. Aquarius does not do half-wanting. It does not do protected hoping. It wants fully, openly, without the armor of managed expectation. And today, with the Aquarius Moon locking your new timeline and your energy finally free, the universe is asking you to want the thing without the armor. Say it out loud today, in private. Just you and the Aquarius Moon and the specific, unprotected, fully expressed want that has been waiting for permission to be spoken at full volume. That speaking is part of how the timeline gets locked, part of how the freedom becomes real rather than just energetically present. Part of how you cooperate with what the Aquarius Moon is doing today. Want it fully, say it clearly, and let the locked timeline move toward it. Write in the comments what you want. I read every one. Now I want to speak to something about the relationship between the Aquarius Moon and the specific experience of chosen ones who have been in isolation, who have spent extended periods feeling separated from the people around them, not by physical distance necessarily, by the gap between their inner experience and what the people around them could understand or relate to. This isolation is one of the most common and least discussed aspects of the chosen one journey. The sensitivity that allows you to feel what others do not feel, to sense what others do not sense, to know what others do not know, is also the sensitivity that makes the gap between your inner world and others' inner worlds more pronounced. And that gap, sustained over a long season of difficulty, can produce a specific quality of loneliness that is difficult to describe to people who have not experienced it. The Aquarius Moon today addresses that isolation directly, because Aquarius, while it values individual freedom and independent thought, is also deeply oriented toward community, toward the specific community of people who share its frequency, toward the ones who understand, who do not require extensive explanation, who receive what you say without needing the entire backstory, who simply know. And what the Aquarius Moon is doing today, alongside locking the new timeline and freeing the energy, is activating the pull toward that community, the specific community of chosen ones who are at your frequency. Some of whom you have already met, some of whom are on their way to you, some of whom are watching this same message right now, feeling the same recognition, experiencing the same freedom, moving along the same trajectory. You are not alone in this. The isolation of the testing season was real, but it was a season, and the Aquarius Moon today is signaling that the season of isolation is giving way to a season of connection. Not the exhausting, mismatched connection that drained your energy during the waiting period. The specific, nourishing, mutually recognizing connection that happens between people who are at the same frequency. That connection is beginning to arrive. Some of it is already in motion. And the people who are on their way to you, the ones who belong to the same community of frequency that you belong to, are being moved toward you by the same energetic currents that are establishing your new timeline today. Pay attention to who enters your life in the weeks ahead, who shows up unexpectedly but feels familiar, who says something that lands like recognition rather than information, who understands what you mean without you having to explain it fully. These are the community the Aquarius Moon is assembling, the ones who belong in the new season rather than the old one. And for the ones who are already in your life and who feel like home, the Aquarius Moon today deepens what is already there, makes it more honest, more mutual, more able to hold the full version of who you are rather than the version you edited for easier consumption. The isolation is ending, the community is coming, and today the Moon in Aquarius announced it. You are seen, you are known, and the people who belong to your next season are on their way. Write in the comments if you felt the pull toward community today. I read every one. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Tomorrow carries its own specific energy. And chosen ones need to know what the Pisces Moon brings after today's Aquarius freedom.